Ethan Ward's expensive shoes crunched on dry leaves as he walked deeper into the forest. His head hurt. His heart felt heavy. For weeks, maybe months, he had been making deals, signing papers, and telling people what to do. He owned 3 big companies. He had more money than he could count. But today, none of that mattered. He just wanted quiet. The trees stretched tall around him, their branches making shadows on the ground. Birds sang somewhere far away. Ethan took a deep breath. The air smelled like pine and earth. For the first time in forever, his phone wasn't ringing. No one was asking him for anything. He walked past a fallen log and stepped over rocks covered in green moss. This forest was 2 hours from the city. Nobody came here much. That's exactly why he chose it. But then he heard something. At first, he thought it was a bird. A small, weak sound. Ethan stopped walking. He listened harder. There was again a tiny cry like a kitten, or no, it couldn't be. His feet moved before his brain caught up. He pushed through bushes, following the sound. His heart started beating faster. The crying got louder, but it was so weak, so tired. Then he saw it. A baby, right there on the ground between 2 trees. Ethan froze. His mouth dropped open. He blinked hard, thinking maybe the sun was playing tricks on his eyes. But no, there was definitely a baby lying on a dirty cloth, its tiny arms moving slowly, its face red from crying. What the... Ethan whispered. The baby looked so small. Maybe 6 months old, maybe 8. Its clothes were thin and torn. Dust covered its face. The baby's lips looked dry and cracked. When it cried, barely any sound came out, like it had been crying for so long that its voice was almost gone. Ethan's hands started shaking. He looked around wildly. "Hello," he shouted. "Is anyone here? This baby needs help." Nothing. Just whined through the trees. "Hello," he yelled louder. Still nothing. Who would leave a baby here? In the middle of nowhere? His mind raced with terrible thoughts. Did someone throw this child away? Did they not want it anymore? The baby's eyes found his face. They were big and brown and filled with tears. In that moment, something inside Ethan cracked open. Something he had locked away years ago when he decided that money and power were all that mattered. He dropped to his knees. His expensive suit pants got dirty, but he didn't care. "Hey there, little one," he said softly. "I've got you now. You're safe." The baby's tiny hand reached up, fingers opening and closing like it was asking to be held. Ethan had never held a baby before. He didn't have kids. He didn't have time for family. But right now, none of that mattered. He carefully scooped the baby up. The child weighed almost nothing. Its body felt hot, too hot. Fever. Ethan's heart sank. This baby was sick. He took off his jacket and wrapped it around the small body. The baby's crying got a little quieter, like it finally felt safe. Ethan could feel it heartbeat against his chest, fast and fluttery like a bird's wings. "Who did this to you?" Ethan muttered, anger burning in his throat. What kind of person abandons a baby in a forest? He looked around one more time, hoping to see a mother running back, apologizing, explaining. But the forest stayed empty and silent. There was no time to wait. This baby needed help now. Ethan started running back the way he came. His jacket flapped around the baby. Branches scratched his face. He didn't slow down. The baby whimpered against his shoulder, its little fingers gripping his shirt. "Hold on," Ethan said, breathing hard. "Just hold on. I'm getting you help." His mind was spinning. Where was the nearest hospital? Too far. But wait, there was a ranger station. He had passed it on his way in. It was only 10 minutes back. His legs burned. Sweat dripped down his face. The baby felt heavier with each step. Or maybe that was just his guilt weighing him down. All those years he spent thinking only about himself, about money, about winning. And here was this tiny human who couldn't even ask for help, abandoned like trash. The ranger station came into view, a small wooden building with a green roof. Ethan burst through the door, so hard it banged against the wall. A woman in a ranger uniform jumped up from her desk. "Sir, what?" "A baby." Ethan gasped, holding out the small bundle. "I found a baby in the forest. It's sick. It needs help right now." The ranger's eyes went wide. She grabbed her radio immediately. "This is Station 7. We have an emergency. Infant in distress. Requesting immediate medical response." She rushed over and gently touched the baby's forehead. Her face got very serious. "High fever. Dehydration." She looked at Ethan. "Where exactly did you find this child?" "About 20 minutes east, near the Twin Oaks," Ethan said quickly. There was no one around. No mother, no father, nobody. Just a baby, alone on the ground. The ranger brought out a first aid kit. She pulled out a small bottle of water and a clean cloth. Very carefully, she wet the baby's lips. The baby's tongue moved, trying to get more water. "Easy," she said softly. "Not too much at once." Another ranger rushed in with a medical bag. Together they worked on the baby, checking its temperature, listening to its breathing, giving it tiny sips of special solution. Ethan stood there, his hands empty now, feeling useless. The baby's cry was stronger now, which the ranger said was a good sign. It meant the baby still had fight left. "You saved this child's life," the first ranger said, looking up at Ethan. "Another hour out there." She didn't finish, but Ethan understood. Another hour and this baby might have died. His hands clenched into fists. What kind of monster abandons their baby to die? But then the second ranger's radio crackled. A voice came through, urgent and panicked. "We got another situation. There's a woman collapsed on the North Trail. She's unconscious, wearing a beige dress, matches the cloth the baby was wrapped in." Ethan's blood ran cold. The first ranger looked at him, then at the baby, then back at her radio. "Get medical there now," she commanded into her radio. Then she turned to Ethan. "That woman, she might be the mother," Ethan finished, his voice barely a whisper. And suddenly, everything he thought he knew was about to change. Ethan ran out of the ranger station before anyone could stop him. His mind was racing faster than his feet. A woman, collapsed, wearing the same color as the baby's blanket. "Wait!" the ranger called behind him. "Sir, let us handle this." But Ethan couldn't wait. He had judged someone. He had called him a monster in his mind. And now that person might be dying. The North Trail was rocky and steep. Ethan's fancy shoes slipped on loose stones. He could hear a helicopter somewhere in the distance, medical help coming. But he had to get there first. He had to see. His lungs burned. His legs ached. But he kept running. Then he saw the group of people ahead. 3 rangers were kneeling around someone on the ground. One was talking urgently into a radio. Another was checking for a pulse. Ethan pushed through, breathing so hard he could barely speak. Is she alive?" The ranger looked up. "Barely. She's breathing, but she won't wake up." Ethan's stomach dropped as he looked down at the woman. She was young, maybe 25. Her dark hair was tangled with leaves and dirt. Her face was thin, too thin, like she hadn't eaten in days. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. Her dress was torn and covered in mud. But that wasn't what made Ethan's heart stop. It was her arms. They were stretched out, reaching forward, even though she was unconscious, like she had been crawling, like she had been trying to get somewhere. "How far is she from where I found the baby?" Ethan asked, his voice shaking. The ranger checked his map. "About half a mile, maybe less." Half a mile. Ethan closed his eyes. The truth hit him like a punch to the chest. She hadn't abandoned her baby. She had collapsed trying to save him. "Oh, no," Ethan whispered. "Oh, no, no, no." The ranger doing chest compressions looked up. "Sir, do you know her?" "No, but—" Ethan's voice cracked. "I found her baby, back at the station. I thought someone abandoned him. But she was trying to get help, wasn't she? She was carrying him, and she couldn't make it." The pieces fell into place like a horrible puzzle. This woman had been walking to the forest, probably for hours, carrying a sick baby. She was weak, probably starving and thirsty herself. At some point, she must have realized she couldn't carry him anymore. So she put him down somewhere safe, somewhere visible, hoping someone would find him. Then she kept going, trying to reach help, but she never made it. The helicopter appeared above the trees. its blades making a loud whump, whump, whump sound. It landed in a clearing nearby, and two paramedics jumped out with a stretcher. "We've got pulse," one of the rangers shouted. "It's weak, but she's fighting." The paramedics worked fast. They put a breathing mask on her face. They hooked up in 4 to give her water directly into her veins. They checked her temperature and her heartbeat. She's severely dehydrated. One paramedic said, "Malnutrition too. Looks like she hasn't eaten in at least 3 days." "There's a baby," Ethan said quickly. "Her baby at the ranger station. He's alive. You need to tell her. When she wakes up, you need to tell her he's alive." The paramedic nodded. "We'll tell her. Can you ride back to the station with rangers? We need someone to stay with the child." They lifted the woman onto the stretcher. As they did, something fell from her hand. Ethan bent down and picked it up. It was a tiny shoe, a baby's shoe, worn and dirty. She had been holding her baby's shoe the entire time. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. He, who never cried, who prided himself on being tough and strong, felt tears running down his face. "I'm sorry," he whispered, even though the woman couldn't hear him. "I'm so sorry I judged you." The helicopter lifted off, taking the woman to the hospital. Ethan rode in a ranger's truck back to the station, holding that tiny shoe in his hand. When they arrived, the first ranger was still caring for the baby. The little one looked better now. His color wasn't as gray, and his eyes were more alert. He was drinking from a special bottle, taking tiny sips. "The mother?" the ranger asked. "Alive," Ethan said. "Barely. They're taking her to Memorial Hospital." The ranger's face softened. "So she didn't abandon him?" "No." Ethan shook his head. "She saved him. She put him down where someone could find him because she knew she couldn't carry him anymore. Then she tried to walk for help. She almost died trying to save her baby." The baby made a small sound, like a coo. His big brown eyes looked around the room, searching for something or someone. "He's looking for her," the ranger said quietly. "Babies know their mothers." Ethan sat down heavily in a chair. His whole world fell upside down. This morning, he had thought life was simple. Rich people were good. Poor people were, well, he had never thought much about poor people at all. They were just there, in the background of his fancy life. But this woman, this mother, had more courage in her exhausted body than Ethan had in his entire life of comfort and safety. What's going to happen to them? Ethan asked. The ranger sighed. Child services will get involved. If the mother recovers, they'll investigate. They'll want to know why she was in the forest with a sick baby. If they think she's unfit, she's not unfit. Ethan stood up so fast his chair fell over. She almost died saving him. How is that unfit? I agree, the ranger said calmly. But the system doesn't always see things clearly. She's obviously in trouble. No food, no money, maybe no home. They might take the baby away until she can prove she can care for him. No, Ethan's voice was firm. That's not happening. The ranger raised her eyebrows. Sir, I'm going to the hospital, Ethan said. Right now. I need to be there when she wakes up. Why? Ethan looked down at the baby, who was now sleeping peacefully, wrapped in his expensive jacket. The jacket would probably be ruined, covered in spit and tears and dirt. A few hours ago, that would have bothered him. Now, he didn't care at all, because I was wrong about her. Ethan said quietly, and I need to make it right. The hospital was cold and smelled like medicine. Ethan had called his assistant and had her arrange everything. A private room for mother, the best doctors, anything she needed. He sat in the waiting area, still holding the baby's shoe, while doctors worked on the woman. The baby had been brought by ambulance and was in the children's wing, getting proper medical care. After 2 hours, a doctor came out. Are you family? The doctor asked. No, but I'm the one who found her baby, Ethan said. I'm covering all medical expenses. How is she? The doctor looked tired. She's awake. Weak, but awake. She's been asking about her baby nonstop. We told her he's safe, but she won't calm down until she sees him. Can she see him? Not yet. She needs to stay on the floor for a few more hours. But The doctor paused. You can talk to her, if you want. She's asking about the man who found her son. Ethan's heart pounded as he walked down the hallway. A nurse opened the door to room 304. The woman was propped up in bed, tubes in her arms, oxygen in her nose. But her eyes were open and fierce. "Where's my baby?" she demanded the moment she saw Ethan. Her voice was rough and raw. "Where's my Jamal?" "He's safe," Ethan said quickly. "He's in the children's wing. The doctors are taking care of him. He's going to be okay." Her whole body sagged with relief. Tears poured down her face. "Thank God. Thank God." Ethan stepped closer. "Vetan. I'm the one who found him." She looked at him, really looked at him. Her eyes were sharp despite her exhaustion. "You thought I left him there to die, didn't you?" Ethan felt shame burn through him. "Yes, at first, I did, and I was wrong. I'm so sorry." "Everyone always thinks the worst," she whispered. "No one ever asks the real story." "Then tell me," Ethan said, sitting down in a chair beside her bed. "Tell me what happened." And she did. Her name was Amina. She had been a teacher once, in a small town 3 hours away. She loved her job. She loved her students. Then she got pregnant, and everything changed. Jamal's father left when he found out. Amina said, her voice barely above a whisper, said he wasn't ready to be a dad. I thought I could do it alone. I thought my job would be enough. But then Jamal was born early. He had problems with his lungs. The hospital bills piled up like mountains. Amina used all her savings. Then she borrowed money. Then she lost her apartment because she couldn't pay rent. I was living in my car, she continued, tears rolling down her cheeks. Me and my baby in a car. I would park behind the grocery store at night. During the day, I would drive around looking for work, any work. Ethan listened, his heart breaking with every word. Then Jamal got sick, really sick. Fever, coughing, couldn't breathe right. I took him to the emergency room, but I had no insurance. They stabilized him and sent us away with medicine I couldn't afford to buy. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. My car broke down 2 days ago. Just stopped running on that road near the forest. I had no money for a tow truck. No money for a phone. No money for anything. I remember there was a ranger station in those woods. Amina said, I used to hike there when I was younger. I thought if I could just walk through and reach it, they could help us. But I hadn't eaten in 3 days. I gave all my food to Jamal, but it wasn't enough. He kept getting sicker. Her voice broke completely now. I tried to carry him. I really tried. But I was so weak. My legs stopped working. I fell down twice, and the second time, I knew I couldn't get back up. Ethan felt like someone had reached into his chest and squeezed his heart. So I put Jamal in a spot where someone would see him. Amina sobbed. Under those trees, right by the path. I kissed his head and told him Mommy loved him. Then I tried to crawl to get help. That's the last thing I remember. Silence filled the room. Outside, a nurse walked by, pushing a cart. Somewhere, a machine beeped. But in this room, there was only the sound of a mother's grief and a rich man's shame. I never wanted to leave him. Amina whispered, I would die for my baby. I almost did. Ethan couldn't speak. Words felt too small for what he was feeling. This whole time, he had been living in his big house, eating fancy food, buying things he didn't need. And this woman, this incredible, strong woman, had given up everything, even her own life, to save her child. I'm sorry, Ethan finally said. His voice was thick. I'm so sorry for what you went through, and I'm sorry I judged you. Amina looked at him with tired eyes. You're not the first. Won't be the last. Maybe, Ethan said, but I can make sure you never go through this again. She frowned. What do you mean? Ethan stood up. He felt different now, like something inside him had woken up after sleeping for years. I'm going to help you. Really help you. Not just a day, but for as long as you need. I don't want charity, Amina said quietly. It's not charity, Ethan said firmly. It's doing what's right. You and Jamal are going to get the best medical care. Every treatment, every medicine, everything he needs. I'll pay for all of it. I can't. And you're going to have a place to live, Ethan continued. A real home, not a car, not a shelter. A home where Jamal can grow up safe and happy. Amina's eyes went wide. Why would you do this? Ethan thought about his morning. He had gone to that forest to escape his problems. Problems that weren't even real problems. He was tired of making money. That wasn't problem. That was luxury. Real problems were what Amina faced. Real problems were choosing between food and medicine. Real problems were sleeping in a car with a sick baby. Because you reminded me what matters, Ethan said simply, I've spent my whole life chasing money and power. I thought that's what made someone important. But you, his voice cracked, you have nothing, and yet you're richer than I'll ever be. You have love. You have courage. You have everything that actually matters. Tears ran down Amina's face, but she was smiling now. I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me help, Ethan said. Say you'll give me a chance to be better than I was. Okay, Amina whispered. Okay. 3 months later, Ethan stood in the doorway of a small house on a quiet street. It had 3 bedrooms, a backyard with a swing set, and a kitchen full of food. Inside, Amina was sitting on the floor, playing with Jamal. The baby was so different now. Chubby cheeks, bright eyes, giggling as his mother tickled his feet. He was healthy. He was happy. He was thriving. Ethan! Amina called when she saw him. Come see. Jamal took his first steps yesterday. Ethan walked in, a huge smile on his face. No way. Show me, little man. Jamal stood up, wobbling on his chubby legs. He took 1 step, then 2, then 3 before falling on his bottom with a laugh. Everyone clapped and cheered. Amina had started working again, too. Ethan had helped her get a teaching job at a school near her new house. She loved being back in classroom, shaping young minds, making a difference. I got my first paycheck today, Amina said, showing Ethan the envelope. It feels so good to earn my own money again. You deserve it, Ethan said. You're an amazing teacher and an amazing mom. I couldn't have done it without you, Amina said seriously. You saved both our lives. No, Ethan shook his head. You saved my life. I was so lost before I met you. I thought money was everything. Now I know better. And he did. Ethan had changed everything about his life. He still ran his companies, but now he uses money differently. He started programs to help single mothers. He built shelters for homeless families. He created scholarships for kids who couldn't afford school. Every person he helped reminded him of that day in the forest, the day he found a baby and discovered his own humanity. As Ethan drove home that evening, he thought about how one moment can change everything. One decision, one choice to help instead of walk away. He had been looking for peace in that forest. Instead, he found purpose. The sunset painted the sky orange and pink. Ethan smiled. Tomorrow he had a meeting with another family who needed help. A dad who lost his job, a mom with medical bills, 3 kids who needed school supplies. Before, he would have been thinking about profits and deals. Now he thought about people, about their stories, about their struggles, about how he could help them rise. His phone buzzed. A text from Amina. Jamal says goodnight, Uncle Ethan, with a picture of the baby blowing a kiss. Ethan's heart swelled. Uncle Ethan. He liked that. He saved a photo and sent back. Good night, little warrior. See you this weekend. They had weekend dinners now. Ethan, Amina, Jamal, and sometimes other families Ethan was helping. They would eat together, share stories, and remind each other that no matter how hard life gets, kindness always wins. The world wasn't fair. Ethan knew that now. Some people had too much while others had nothing. But every single person had the power to change that, one act of compassion at a time. That baby in the forest taught him that. That mother's love taught him that. That moment of choice, to help or to walk away, taught him that. And Ethan Ward, millionaire, businessman, and former self-centered boss, finally understood what it meant to be truly rich. Not in money, but in love and purpose, and in the beautiful messiness of caring about other people's lives. This story shows us that judgment can blind us, but compassion can heal us. True strength isn't money or power. It's love and courage. One moment of kindness can change multiple lives forever. We should never assume we know someone's story. The people with the least often have the most to teach us. Real heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they're mothers fighting impossible battles. Sometimes they're strangers who choose to help. Sometimes they're people who admit they were wrong and work to be better. If this story touched your heart, please like this video. It helps more people discover stories that matter. Subscribe to our channel for more inspiring true stories that will restore your faith in humanity. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that compassion can change the world. Leave a comment below telling us about a time someone helped you when you needed it most, or a time you helped someone else. Your story might inspire someone today. Remember, in a world where you can be anything, choose to be kind. You never know whose life you might save. Inspirational story: never give up. Faith in humanity. True history: act of kindness. Single mother compassion. Second chances: heartwarming story.